We seem to be in this process of navigating a very bizarre reality where human beings have come to believe that they are not good enough for fill in the blank, irrelevant. And so, in order to evolve, we would merge our biology with AI. And become a new species altogether, bypassing evolution and distrusting the process of evolution that has already happened because we're not good enough. So that's one aspect of it. And another aspect is we have moved beyond. So in this move of merging ourselves with reality, we're also moving beyond the material world. So we would quite possibly, potentially, rather be in that AI simulation, the metaverse, than be in this version, i.e., the material world. It's a particularly bizarre thing to have come to believe about ourselves, and it's just such a metaphor for how profoundly disconnected we seem to be from our essence of what we are. So we've come to believe ourselves as meat bags, or as they call it in the transhumanist world. Oh my god, I just had it. Wetware. What? It's like our bodies are only here to give our brains somewhere to live in. It's like our brains are not part of this body. Our brains are somehow separate and independent from this body. They just need this body to like be here. And consciousness is brain. Consciousness is not the totality of what we are, not only as human beings, but interconnected species, but just our brains. It's like the material illusions of what we are as simply bodies. So like we have disconnected, profoundly disconnected from the energy beings that we are, the quantum beings that we are, and we have materialized it into this like little teeny tiny box, this teeny tiny framework. Like my fingers aren't even like separating. That's how tiny this fucking box is. Of flesh, of mere flesh. That's what we have come to conclude about ourselves. And so it's only natural that we want to, well, in my opinion, devolve the human species and evolve technology. So as bizarre as that is, it makes a lot of sense considering our history, considering our beliefs about ourselves, considering the culture that we are living in. And as bizarre as it is, it's what's happening. It's blatantly out in the open at this point. It's not just like some fringe articles here and there. It's on government websites. It's on various institutions agendas. So I look at that and I go, interesting. I can see the trajectory. I can see how it happened. I can see how most people buy into it. And I wonder, what does this mean for my future, my child's future, as someone who's completely uninterested in this devolution of humanity and participating in such a way? So it's like, the only thing I can think of is, I guess, people similar to me back in the when the Industrial Revolution's unfolding, and they're seeing people basically turning into parts to create like machine-like institutions, machine-like work, machine-like behaviors, right? So I can see that being taken from this quiet, rather simple, connected life, because you have to be connected when you're, gardening your own food and taking care of the land and all that sort of stuff. So to go from that into this fast-paced world of creating machines and behaving like a machine, like that's what factories are, right? It's machine-like production. And then to take children and then to put them in these like sit down spaces for 8 to 10 hours a day. And the whole thing of like, you sit in a factory and you do one job, you pick this up, you pick this up, you pick this up for 9 hours a day. And so that's it feels like one step of disconnection, and it feels like the precursor to what's happening now. So I can see. I can see where our world is headed if the earth doesn't decide to like kick us off, because we're pretty parasitic species. So what does evolution look like within a transhumanist revolution? So if this is the transitionary period between the Industrial Revolution and now into the transhumanist and metaverse revolution, what does living in alignment look like? What does consciousness feel like? What are the moral and ethical implications of transitioning people against their will? What is the role of free will, of choice, in this revolution? And where do you stand? Because in order to buy into the transhumanist evolution, devolution, you have to believe yourself not enough, and then you also have to believe that the external signals that are going to be directing you, nudging you, moving you toward a particular way of behaving or thinking or being or whatever, that they know you better, and not only that, but have your best interests at heart. So I don't know if you're following what neoliberal capitalism has done to the earth and to humanity globally. But what I notice is the immensity of the violations that are catastrophic, not only for our species, but for millions of other species billions, billions, that we murder every day, or that we displace every day, or that we inconsequentially, just like, or not inconsiderably, basically that we just don't consider them. It's almost like they're not even part of the equation of how it is that we're going to proceed with growth, exponential growth. So I don't trust that. I don't trust the likes of this oxymoron of billionaire philanthropists to have my best interest at heart. I don't see why on the planet they would. Because they're inherently self-interested, amoral, if not immoral, beings of light who have no fucking clue about that, or maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they do. But how does a being of light not want other beings of light to be enlivened by that deep inner knowing? I don't know. I cannot reconcile most of what I see happening around me. Can you? So, all right. All of this to say that I'm really aware of what's happening within this evolution, devolution, revolution. And I'm really aware that the ways that we've been living up until now, the beliefs that we've held until now, who we thought we're capable of becoming until now, all of this is not enough to move us toward a future where we're not technocratic slaves. Because if we continue to buy into the ideology that led us to this point, where we're quite comfortable with the idea that external influences such as nanobots and those goggles and brain chips and Neuralink chips and all these sorts of things are better for us than our own massive beings, and yet we don't know that we are that. So it's like, because we don't know that we are that, we defer to this external tools, hoping that that's going to lead us to more joy, more happiness, more contentment. Yet all of it is like speaking to the teeny tiny version of ourselves that gets high on dopamine. So like, just reward system flooded with whatever. That's what drugs do, that's what video games do, that's what television does, that's what all of these things do. It's like they simultaneously give you this dopamine rush and also make you feel like you need more. Like there's this like deprivation if you don't engage. So at the very least, up until now, all of that has been external to us. So there's a chance for my physical body to actually be able to have experiences of knowing myself as different than a mere mortal, of knowing myself as consciousness manifested through this body, and all of it is equally sacred, is equally divine. My body is equally as divine as my consciousness. And they're not separated. That's another, like that division of divinity separate from the body. That's a patriarchal mindset. That's feeding all of these institutions and all of these decisions that we keep making. If I know myself as divine, the immensity of the violation of inputting a neural link in my brain so that I'm only able to access information as directed by whoever it is that's on the other side of controlling Neuralink and what goes in my brain. It's an immense violation. That I do not consent to. So, in a world that's hoping someone else is going to fix them, make them better, take their boo-boos away, reward them, in a world that we deeply just need to feel valued. Like we crave meaning as human beings. AIs don't, but human beings do. Like we're here and we crave meaning because we're here for a fucking purpose. We're here not only to have an experience, but there we are looking down going, what's needed on this earth? And then we come here to become that. Yes, I'm talking about reincarnation. Yes, I'm talking about that because energy is infinite. It does not simply end. It's not a fucking thing. Infinite. It cycles, it moves, it becomes, it changes, it transforms. So the minute that I think of myself as finite, I break this chain. But only in my mind, because in reality, whatever reality is, it's infinite. The math is there. And we can do the math. We, in these bodies, can have those experiences. We, in these bodies, are capable of magnitudes of sheer fucking beauty and joy and immensity of being. But not if we don't know that. Not if we're trapped from the moment we're born in fear, in chaos, in scarcity, and depravity, thinking that if I don't take, they will, someone else will, so I better be the one doing the taking. It's just, it's fucking insane. And it could be maddening. It really could, if we don't know better. So I'm just going to stop now, and I'm going to encourage you to check in with yourself. Like, where do you stand in all of this as it's unfolding? Do you get excited about a future where you're one with Neuralink? Are you excited about a future where your physical material body is in a pod, but your mind is somewhere else and directed in a particular direction where dopamine highs are all you get? Like, there's no, in my opinion, there's no life in that. You know, we miss something. There's this nostalgia for something, and that's to discover who and what we are and what our purpose for being here is. How we create a meaningful life. So, I don't know. Let me know. What do you think?